Hello, and welcome back to another episode of A Dancer's Mindset. We are joined today by the wonderful Suvi Honkanen. Say hello, Suvi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. So today we're talking about transitioning from student to a company and how that can be overwhelming, difficult, stressful, new, all the above. And both Suvi and I have done that. So let's talk about it. So Suvi,
Yes.
tell us how you felt initially transitioning, because obviously you left school earlier than me,
Yeah.
right? You took the executive decision to start company life sooner than expected.
Yes.
Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, I joined a company when I was 17, which is very young. And
Very young.
um, it was daunting, so daunting. And I mean, um, I was so scared and so nervous. Obviously, there are all these like unwritten rules you have to try to learn, and all these fears, and everything is just so new. And then, in addition to that, your surroundings have changed. Also, your kind of position has completely changed because you're not a student anymore. Now you're a professional, and that's a whole different ball game. So I felt extremely nervous about it, and it felt like an overwhelming thing. However, I think there would have been a lot that I could have done to not feel so nervous, and lots of conversations that could have benefited me, because it's also a very exciting time, and um,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, someone just came in
No,
the
for
room, and I was like,
yeah, no, for sure. I totally feel the same, but I think one thing, I felt a mixture of feelings. One was like, oh, I'm super excited, and also kind of relaxed, because it was sort of like, oh, I've gotten over the school thing. Like, I've done it.
mm,
I've made it to the company. Like, I can sort of relax now.
yeah,
But then another part of it is, but hang on, now no one's telling me what to do anymore, like properly. No one's really uh telling me the rules or correcting me in class a lot. Now I'm sort of left on my own. So there's a sense of almost like, oh, okay, I'm completely on my own now. How do I go about this? Because for so long in a school, especially one like Vaganova that's so intense, every class is like, do my teacher proud, make sure I do, good by the teacher, make sure I'm doing it correctly. And then going from that to suddenly all that intensity to then nothing, and like,
hmm
let's figure it out ourselves. It's quite a big change, a big jump.
yeah. I talk about this on the blog post. This like feeling of
Yeah.
loneliness, because I definitely felt that I was relying on my teacher for pretty much everything. Um, you know, and not just kind of to make sure that I was working hard or correctly, but also to just kind of um, I don't know, mirror like, am I good enough? Am I worthy of it? Am I this? Am I that? Um, so suddenly, without that kind of, I really felt like it wasn't like a mirror. I felt so alone and so lost without that kind of guide, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you feel the
I'll
same?
second the lonely. Yeah, I felt super lonely. Really lonely. I had like a couple of friends, and obviously that's another thing. You're making brand new friends as well. Like, you've got to start from scratch, because obviously when you graduate, everyone goes separate ways. But I found myself, I was living alone as well. Um and so yeah, I suddenly found myself to be really, really lonely, and starting from scratch again. Um, so that was hard, but obviously I think to have made it to that point, especially going through, I'll keep saying it because it was so intense, especially making it through somewhere like Vaganova. Um,
You hear my dog barking? This is a mess.
I can hear your dog. Very cute. He wants his breakfast.
How embarrassing. Excuse the dog.
No, it's fine. No, you'll have to bring him in.
So many things is happening in this
Um,
house today. People are coming in, dogs are barking. Oh, geez.
dogs are on the loose. Um, yeah, but I felt like, especially when making it through something like Vaganova, which is so intense, even though this new period felt difficult and a huge change,
Mm,
I feel like to a certain degree you need to draw on that sort of thick skin that you may have and developed, that it's kind of like, right, I'll just cope with this change and see what happens. And I found it quite easy to cope with being quite uncomfortable, only because we've done so much of that already. Like even you and me, more so than the Russian girls in a way, because we've left our countries
we're in a new
already a
city,
while
we're
ago.
without our
That was
families,
different language.
different
Like we've
culture.
been uncomfortable,
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, but tell us a bit more about some points that were in your blog
sure.
about this topic.
Well, yeah, on the blog I talk a lot about this feeling of loneliness and um,
Mm,
being in a new situation suddenly, because company life is very different from student life, at least in most cases. I don't know, probably sometimes for some people it might not be that big of a change. And of course, if you're going into a company with a ton of your friends from school, that's great. Um, I joined a company without anyone I knew. The good thing was that it was in my home country, so that made it a little easier. I didn't have like
mm,
a culture shock and like all these things to take care of, like getting a bank account and an apartment and all this stuff. But um, one really key thing was to learn to ask for help from others in the company. Just saying, "Hey, I don't know how to read the schedule. Can you help me?" Is because usually people are
yeah,
nice and they'll help you. Sure, there are some people who are a bit mean in every company, maybe, but for the most part, I'd say people want you to feel good and a part of the family. And the other thing is,
yeah,
I think it's important to not be in a rush to make everything feel good immediately, because it's going to take a while to adjust to this new situation and this new um, way of life outside of school. So it's
yeah,
what you said about being uncomfortable. It's learning to just kind of just learning to sit with it. That it feels uncomfortable. I'm gonna go through this and try to find some enjoyment in this new exciting phase, because there's a lot of freedom that you don't have in school, and there's so many possibilities. As much as there are fears and insecurities, there's also a lot of um, I don't know, fun and exciting things that come in company life. And also, it's important maybe beforehand to really learn to know yourself without your teacher. So, kind of like what routine works for you and what do you need to do for your body to function. It's really knowing about, or it's being really secure with knowing what your body needs, because there's not going to be someone to make sure you stretch or make sure you eat enough or any of that. So you're
mm,
really responsible for being able to work.
yeah,
I felt like
for
that was a
sure.
lot of information.
Really good. it was a lot of information, but I enjoyed listening to all of it. Um, Another thing I thought about actually was I've noticed a lot in obviously in the Vaganova schools, but I think mostly those schools actually where, let's say someone does really well. So let's
Mm.
say obviously, you have people like Olga Smirnova and people of that caliber. They especially if they're Russian, they graduate and then they go into a company. But because they've already built this huge reputation almost at the school, when they go into the Russian companies, it's almost like expected that they'll skip the core,
Oh yeah,
so they kind of, do you know what I mean? Like they kind of go straight to soloist because everyone's decided already
if
that
they're
they're a
that level.
star. And that's fine. Like if that's the situation. But I feel like that situation only really happens within the Russian companies slash for the Russians, like it's part of the culture and it's sort of like expected, like, oh, you know, she's incredible, of course, she's going to skip the core kind
Mm.
of thing. But I would say for a lot of students who, let's say, are of the equivalent caliber of Olga, but somewhere else, they then may go to a company that's like not related to their school, or even if it is related to their school, most often the majority of us have to start from
Mm.
scratch, like start in the core. And I think for a lot of dancers, that's quite hard to deal with. Like, you know, I've seen it happen before where people have to been very successful in school and then they've had to start in the core, and it's almost like they don't know how to cope with that sort of
Mm.
change because they've gone from like having quite a large reputation to then, oh, now I'm kind of nobody again, like I need to start from scratch and build another
Mhm.
reputation. So I think, obviously I'm talking more about people who are maybe favored in school and done really well, but I think this can go with everyone to a certain degree. I think we need to sort of really drop our egos a lot when we like go first straight into a company. It's kind of like you can't expect to be in the limelight straight
Yeah.
away. If you do get picked and you do get put in the limelight because you're noticed or whatever sooner than expected, then that's great. But I think we have to go in really with an open mind, be very respectful of who's already there, be very respectful of the star ballerinas, and realize that you don't know as much as they do. You don't have the same amount of experience. Like take a step back, learn, start from scratch, look from the sidelines, learn as much as you can. Like even the skill of being in the corps de ballet is like an amazing
Mhm.
skill to have, and it's like you learn so much,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a ton of company dynamics that you have no idea about, and there are so many people who've been there for a long time, and you don't necessarily know what's happened last year or the year before that. So I think that's a really great point of trying to kind of come in with just, I respect everybody. I'm here to do the best that I can, but first and foremost, I realize that you guys have been here before me and I have a lot to learn from you. I think that's a good attitude. You don't
yeah,
have to
because
make yourself smaller. You don't have to go like, oh, I don't exist. But I think it's just helpful to, like you said, just go with an open mind, not expecting that even though if you were the best at your school, you're gonna dance the soloist role immediately. So it's really humbling yourself and finding things to learn even from being a cover or being in the corps de ballet, and not going into the like, I deserve better, I
yeah,
shouldn't be doing this, because you should. That's important to
yeah, I
learn.
think I, yeah, and I think with the again, it's like the sort of this day and age syndrome where we expect instantaneous results. So I think like I'm going to go into the company, I'm going to get the parts, I'm going to get the soloist, roles immediately. And I think, a certain account of time, commitment, and loyalty to the company, is required. Like showing that you're invested in the company and putting the work in and proving yourself, and also I think to a certain degree just relax and enjoy that process, because if you're talented, which obviously you are, and if they've seen you in school, obviously they've seen that you're capable, they see you in class every day, the opportunities will come. But obviously they want you to have stage experience, they want you to be showing your hard work in the company up until this point. But the opportunity is inevitable, the opportunities will come, you just need to put that time in and be okay with that.
Yeah, I think what you just said reminded me of how I at least felt that when I joined the company. I was kind of micro analyzing everything. So I felt like I was watched all the time and judged all the time, like how I'm standing, how I'm talking, what kind of leotard I'm wearing, this kind of stuff. Also, we had a kind of a manipulative director. But anyway, that's
another episode.
So while you should be aware of how you're acting and presenting yourself, surely, I think also, just like you said, just relax and just focus on the work itself. Just show up, do your work, be respectful, and you don't really have to kind of obsess over other things.
No.
Because you're allowed to be your own person and have a life, and you're an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an adult now. Yeah. You're 18 mostly, I think. And we need to enjoy ourselves. And also, you've just done a really stressful experience at school. Like, kind of enjoy this process of being not so much in the in the limelight, like enjoying the teamwork, enjoying and just discovering yourself, using the time to discover who you are in class, discovering how you self-motivate, discovering without outside factors telling you to be good, discovering how
enjoy the fact
exactly
that you don't,
but it's a really exciting process.
I was gonna say, enjoy the fact that you don't have to wear white tights and shoes over your tights, that you can.
And men can wear shorts.
A great time.
Men can do whatever they want as well. Exciting times. Well, guys, if you have any questions for us, leave them down below and let us know. Let us know if you've transitioned to a company and how you felt. What did you feel when you first joined? What difficulties did you have to come to terms with?
I'm so curious about other people's experiences, because obviously we only have our experiences, and there are so many companies and so many schools, so the transition is probably very different for many people.
Yeah, I'm super interested, so definitely let us know. Without further ado, we're going to dance our intro out. Here we go. Thank you for joining us. You can say something, Suvi. Shoulder roll.
I hear you saying something. Only coffee,